Hey everyone, it's Tanya from Vegan in Michigan, and this video is actually an interview video with Natasha and Luca from That Vegan Couple. But I wanted to tell you a little story about how I got here. About 3 months ago or so, Natasha and Luca announced that they were going to be taking a 16-city United States activism tour, where they were going to be interacting with vegans all across the country and inspiring them and doing meetup and workshops and activism with them in all their cities to try to grow grassroots activism. So when I found out they were coming, because I've been a fan of theirs for a long time, I just kind of didn't really care what cities they were going to go to because I knew I would go to one of them and meet them. So after a while, they actually kind of reached out to me and said that they knew that I lived in Michigan and was wondering if I would maybe help coordinate the meetup event. So I kind of said, well, I could do one better if you wanted me to. I can kind of be the liaison and host and everything. So I've been lucky enough to be their host here. We're in an Airbnb right now. And so I've actually been driving them around and taking them to their events and just having conversations with them. And it's been really, really amazing because I never, like I said, I didn't think that I would even get to meet them, much less spend a lot of time with them. So it has been my honor to do this. And it's been a really, really great experience. And we had a great meetup. We visited Sasha Farm Sanctuary. We had a really heartbreaking vigil, which is, I have a video of it that I just posted yesterday. And then tonight we're doing an anonymous For The Voiceless Cube of Truth. So this tour that they've been on has been already in Michigan. I know that they've really inspired so many people to do a lot more activism, and that's what their goal was. So I'm honored to be a part of that. And I think that there's a lot of people that are being really inspired, and this is going to continue on. So what a great thing. What a great thing that they've done. And I'm just kind of tagging along for the ride because, like I said, I've been a fan of theirs for a long time and never ever even dreamt that I would get to meet them, much less spend time with them. So they were kind enough to sit down with me and have an interview. I hope you enjoy it. I think the conversation went really, really well. And again, I'm really thankful that they took time out of their tour. They're very crazy busy tour, and they've been working the whole time we've been here, and I'm really thankful that they took time out of their tour to talk to me. So I hope you enjoy it, and here's the interview. So here we are.
Hi.
Here they are, Natasha and Luca from That Vegan Couple.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Yes. Well, I wanted to start off with a big thank you, even though I've thanked you numerous times this week, right?
Yeah.
But I have, but it's deserved. I wanted to thank you officially for the last 2.5 years being such inspiration, so inspirational to me, so educational to me, so motivational to me. And I never thought that I would get to meet you guys, much less spend time with you and have conversations that we've had. So it really means a lot to me. So thank you guys so
You're
much.
so welcome.
More than
and
welcome, Tanya.
It's our pleasure, and we're honoured to be able to meet people like you who are following the channel and making great changes and have your own channel, and it's mutual.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to be the first.
I just wanted to add on to what Natasha said. Thank you also for organising,
Yes.
helping to organise our meetup and activism workshop here in Detroit, Michigan, which was a rip-roaring success. And we're so grateful for that. And we couldn't do it without beautiful hosts like you in each of the cities that we've visited. So thank you.
Thank you, but completely. I mean, likewise, you guys have thanked me a million times this week too, and I'm like, no, stop! It's completely my honor. It was really. I think my brain is kind of just overworked right now. There's so much to take in from this week. Not only the events that we've attended, and then we're doing an AV Cube tonight, but just the conversations that we've had. And also the important thing that I wanted to tell you guys is that I want to be a product of your intention on this tour. I want your tour to be successful in me. I want to be why you're here,
Yeah.
I want to carry on the work that you've been doing here. And it's already worked because just the other day, I'm not sure if you heard me say this to Luca, but I've had 2 messages already from people that I don't know who are vegan, who got a hold of me because they saw the activism that we've been doing this week, and they want to do more activism.
Perfect.
I mean,
Job done. That's why we're here.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just floored by that. Even my sister, Starla, she said, I want to get more active too. I love them also. And I was like, I mean, blown it away. So, and I've told you guys this before too. I don't mind. I've been fangirling all week, and like I don't mind doing that because it's authentic, and I think that you guys can read that. That it's like it's coming from a place where that you guys understand.
Definitely.
You know?
Well, last night we met the person who inspired us to become vegan almost 7 years ago, Gary Yourofsky. If you haven't already, check out his speech called Best Speech You Will Ever Hear here on YouTube. It's totally free. That 1 hour changed our lives almost 7 years ago, and we had the honor to meet him and his wife last night and the day before, and we felt the same way being in the presence of Gary, the person who removed our blinders all those years ago, and so we totally understand.
We understand what you're saying. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. So, first question is like, what would your message be to other vegans who may not have gotten a chance to see you guys on this tour?
Come and see us on this tour. We're halfway, just over halfway, so we've still got a few cities to go.
And that's not as funny as it sounds, in that we have had people travel interstate to attend our meetups and activism workshops, haven't we? We had a couple drive from Kansas to Dallas, Texas.
I think it was like a
5-hour
drive.
That's right.
Wow.
To attend a Save Movement vigil with us. And we also had a family of 3 that travelled from Ohio to our Detroit meetup. They drove 4 hours. Then there was another girl, Jeanette, from Florida. She drove 5 hours within Florida. So, you know.
So people do travel.
Yeah.
I think, the main message of our tour is for vegans to get active. That's what we're trying to encourage. We're trying to say, look, I mean, our tagline, as Tonya would know, it's vegan is not the most we can do, it's the least we can do. And so that next step is to get active. And we're here just trying to help vegans step into that role of activism. And that's our message.
And also, if you can't get along to one of our meetups and activism workshops, in the activism workshop, they go for about 90 minutes. They're quite detailed. And yet in that time, we mainly address 3 main grassroots animal rights organisations that are sweeping the world by storm over the last few years. The first one is Anonymous for the Voiceless. The second one is the Save Movement, and the third one is Direct Action Everywhere. And each of those organisations has a website and a Facebook page where you can go independently, and I'm sure Tanya can link them in the description below this video, and you can read what they're all about and how you can get involved in their actions.
Yeah. So speaking of when people do get more active, and I know this firsthand from this week, balancing self-care. Do you have any advice for anybody with that, or how important it is? Or?
Yeah, I think it's very important, and it's a tricky one because a lot of vegans think, well, I don't want to take time out because I could be investing this time in, fighting harder for the animals. But the truth is that sometimes we need to take one step back to take 2 steps forward. So we're more effective when we do take a rest, when we do focus on a bit of self-care, and then we can come back with twice as much energy and fuel to give more longer.
That's right. And the analogy that we always use is just like when you're on an aircraft and they say, in the event of a drop in cabin pressure, apply your oxygen mask first before assisting others. So that's where the self-care comes into it. And too many activists, they don't take into account the self-care, and they do ultimately burn out because, look, the problem is enormous that we're facing, and no one of us is able to, unfortunately, create a vegan world overnight. And it's not a sprint. This is a marathon because this is 10,000 years of human tradition of enslaving animals. So
we have to pace ourselves.
That's it,
right? Yeah. So take days off. Do fun things like go to the movies.
Read a book. Listen to a podcast.
Yeah, lots of things that are just have nothing to do with activism, nothing to do with animal liberation. Give your mind and body a rest, and then you can come back harder and stronger next time.
And in terms of self-care, the 3 most important components are sleep, that is number 1. The second, stay hydrated. And the third one is eat nourishing foods. So base your food around whole plant foods as much as you can. So fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and some nuts and seeds. And that will, get your body to a place where you can cope with the work that you have to do as a vegan activist.
And we say stay hydrated because there are so many times when we're at a vigil, particularly now it's getting into summer and it's a lot hotter, and you get dehydrated very quickly, especially if you're talking to people or outreaching or whatever.
Or just being out in the midday sun. For
Yeah,
example,
and so that has an effect on how your mind works, and the mind affects everything else and how your body's feeling, and you can also sometimes get really emotional when you're not feeling right in your body and in your mind. So just constantly having a bottle of water with you makes a big difference, we have found. Yeah.
Thank you. So this is a big question that I think we would all love to know the answer to, but I'd like to hear your take on it. I think non-vegans can sometimes, I think it's 50-50, sometimes they can think badly of us, and then other ones we would have their respect. So how do we normalize veganism for the non-vegan?
Yeah, that's a big question. As you said, where do we start? Yeah.
I was going to say, well, what we like to talk about a lot is that whilst eating, wearing and using animals might be the norm, it's not normal to enslave, confine, mutilate, torture and slit the throats of innocent beings, sentient beings who don't want to die.
And most of these beings, let's remember, are actually babies. So this, as you said, it's been normalized, but it's not a normal thing. And so I think, we have to communicate this with non-vegans. We have to let them know the truth about what's going on, because most non-vegans don't know the truth. So, talk to them.
That's right. And it's as simple as, if you're trying to wrap your head around what we were just saying, think of your cat or dog that, you most likely had, many of us have grown up with or have companion animals now. If you couldn't imagine what we do to food animals being done to your family cat or dog, then if it's not good enough for the family cat or dog, it's not good enough for the other food animals either, because ultimately, though you may not know them as the same individuals as your family cat and dog, they are in fact individuals, each with their own personalities and unique characteristics and traits and qualities. And you can actually find that for yourself when you go to a farm sanctuary, for example, where they've rescued animals from the food industry, and you meet them. And there's that saying, once you meet them, you can't eat them, because you see your cat and your dog in them. And I've lost my train of thought. But,
actually, look at you. It's actually perfect. My next question is the personality of individuals at Sasha Farm. So it was so cute that you literally went into my next question, because I was going to ask you about, we had an experience yesterday where we had the lovely Sophia from Sasha Farm Sanctuary, and that was the whole... It's a magical place.
and
thank
you, Sophia, if you're watching.
I felt like the mother, like taking the kids to the farm, because I had been there a few weeks ago and did a video, and so I was so excited that you guys got to see it, because it's just a magical place. But Sophia took us around, and she took us off-site to meet the 5 large cows. So we did have an experience yesterday where Luca was sitting amongst them, and just kind of one of the cows was very, very close to him, and he reached out, and the cow got very skittish and ran off.
That's right.
And I think it all hit us like really. I think you said something about like the idea that they would feel fear and just be afraid and scared that quickly. And then we talked about the fate of all the other cows who aren't lucky enough to live at Sasha Farm. And it kind of broke my heart. That's what that stuck with me, that they do experience fear, and they do. And these are the luckiest cows in the world at Sasha Farm. And we thought about the experiences of all the other cows that are feeling fear on a daily basis and completely mistreated.
You're spot on, Tanya. I had momentarily forgotten that particular interaction. Now I do recall it as you've described it. And yes, as you said, I was seated on the ground in a very submissive position. So these Holstein cows, as you described, are enormous creatures. You cannot comprehend how big they are unless you're in their presence. And so I'm seated on the ground at a lower level than he was, and all I did simply I extended my arm as a peace offering, as a greeting, but I may have done so too quickly, and as you said, he got skittish and immediately moved his large body quickly away from me, just from that simple action of extending my arm. And then when you've seen slaughterhouse footage, which you can watch here on YouTube and you've probably seen on Facebook, the conditions that these poor individuals are subjected to in their final moments on this earth are just horrendous. The noise and the smell and the fear and the terror and the violence that takes place in a slaughterhouse cannot really be comprehended. And to
so
think
if
that
they
we put
react,
these, if they,
so quickly and sort of from a place of fear of just extending an arm at a farm sanctuary, imagine how they're feeling in a slaughterhouse.
That's right. It's no wonder they're bug-eyed with fear, and that fear courses through their bodies as adrenaline, as it does in ours. Now,
and then we consume that when we eat their bodies. It doesn't do us any good either.
Well, every culture in the world practically has the saying, "We are what we eat."
Yeah.
So if we're eating products of sheer fear and terror, that can't be having a good effect on us, particularly if we're sitting down to them up to 3 times a day, as we certainly did for the first 3 decades of our lives.
Absolutely.
You know, and is it any wonder, therefore, that we live in such a fear-based society?
Certainly makes you think.
Food for thought, pun intended. Yeah.
So I think this is why vegans are angry because we
it's
have
righteous anger.
and so it's hard to sometimes take that anger away and communicate with other people who aren't vegan, who haven't had the blinders taken off yet.
Yeah.
So do you have any tips for patients while doing outreaching?
Sure. So there's something that we learned many years ago when we did the World Peace Diet Mastery Facilitator Program. Is that right?
Facilitator and mastery training programs.
What he said, right?
There were 2 put together.
2 put together. There you go. We learned a line that said, when you're approaching someone, a non-vegan or a pre-vegan, in a conversation,
or a not yet vegan.
Yeah.
Yeah, many terms.
To relate to them and remind them that you too were once in their shoes. And so we can start a conversation by saying, I understand what you're saying, and I too once felt like that until I learned da-da-da-da-da-da. So you're just trying to relate to that person and let them know that you weren't born vegan. You didn't come from planet vegan. You totally understand what it's like to live as a non-vegan in a non-vegan world.
You know what bacon tastes like?
Yes, you've had that cheese addiction, all of those things. But education is key. And so I think just breaking down that barrier, disarming people by getting down to their level and having that conversation at that state is a lot easier.
Yeah. And what that does is it helps to remove any judgment, because of course a lot of not yet vegans subconsciously are likely aware that it is morally wrong, or it's immoral to needlessly kill innocent sentient beings who want to live.
Yeah.
And so they're probably expecting judgment from vegans, and that kind of talk where you're putting yourself in their position and letting them know that you've certainly been in their position before is very disarming, as you say.
That's right.
And it opens the ability for a conversation to take place without the judgment.
Yes, and what it does for you as a vegan is it reminds you that, oh yes, I do understand how they're feeling. Let's drop my anger and frustration for a moment, put myself back, how many years before you went vegan, and let's have that conversation with that in mind.
Yeah.
And just remembering, we were once in that position where we said silly things to a vegetarian.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, we attacked someone for eating fruit whilst we were eating, I think it was a lamb kebab. So you just have to remember that you too were once in that position, and once you can just come to a conversation from that angle, it helps you drop the anger. Yeah. Which is tricky. It's very hard, it's not easy to do, but that is a good technique.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
My next question comes from my sister Starla.
Hi, Starla.
She wants to know what keeps you both inspired.
Ooh, so many things. We started doing street activism late last year, and one of the most important things we did, and what we encourage everybody to do, is attend a Save Movement vigil. And when you attend a vigil, you're basically bearing witness to the animals on the transport trucks heading into the slaughterhouse. And once you make that connection with the animals in real life, not through the screen watching a video, but see them in real life, look into their eyes, let their eyes connect with your soul, that inspires us very much to continue doing this harder and longer and with more determination than ever. I mean, we've been vegan for almost 7 years and active from day one, but the saved visuals, they really changed something in us. We noticed that straight away. So, you know, what inspires us is the fact that animals are still on those trucks, they're still being slaughtered, and it's always been needless, and it continues to be needless. So, you know, until every kg is empty and every tank is empty, we're going to have to continue doing this.
Yeah, and until every animal is free. And another thing that inspires us is that we just have this ability, and I believe everyone has it within them. They just have to tap into it, to put themselves in the position of the victim. Until we do that, we're always looking at things from the perspective of the oppressor or the ones paying the oppressors. And we can only ever understand properly injustice if we put ourselves in the position of the victim. So if it wasn't good enough for us, it's not good enough for another sentient being. And everyone has to dig deep, tap into that which is innate in all of us. It's the whole golden rule, do unto others as you would have done unto you. It's actually as simple as that.
Yeah, would we want someone fighting for us if we were in those cages? Hell yes. So we have to be the ones fighting for others.
And it's not always in a cage either, because
no, that's right.
This runs deeper than just treatment of animals. We're talking about use. So animals are not ours to eat, wear, or use. And the use comes down to food, clothing, entertainment, testing, and the pet industry, like puppy mills, for example. So all of those ways in which we exploit animals. Because all use is exploitation, all exploitation is abuse, and all abuse is immoral. So it's the use of animals that we need to address and eradicate.
On a lighter note, right? Are you excited about the rest of the tour?
Yes, we are. Yes. Yeah, it's been fantastic. It's been incredible to meet so many people, and I think our favourite parts are the workshops, the activism workshops that we give at the end of the meetups. And that's because we love not only communicating this message, but we can see people's faces and attitudes change throughout that workshop. And we have a lot of followers that have not been so active up until now, and they're coming along to learn from us, and they come in a little bit apprehensive, and then towards the end they're like, all right, sign me up, I'm ready to go. So that's really beautiful to see. That's also what motivates us. So that's definitely one of our favorite parts of the tour, and we just look forward to doing that till the very end.
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually thinking of somebody in particular, Carly Mangoes, I think is it's certainly her Instagram handle. It might also be her YouTube channel. And she was telling us that she suffered from social anxiety. And so attending actions like Anonymous for the Voiceless, Cubes of Truth, Save Movement Vigils, and Direct Action Everywhere actions were very
stressful idea.
Just the idea alone was very stressful to her. But she came along to, we met her at Veg Fest in LA, where we had the pleasure of speaking on the social media activism panel, and then we also met her at Oakland Veg Fest, where we spoke there as well. And then she came along to the San Francisco workshop, and she came together with her partner Chris, and they, listened to the workshop. We gave the education, we provided the motivation, the inspiration. She came up to us after. She'd taken all that in, but the anxiety was still there, just at the idea of attending these events. And so we spoke to her and we said, well, look at fear. Fear is an acronym for false evidence appearing real. We can't deal with the mind-projected future that may or may not eventuate the way we're thinking it might. All we can really deal with is the now. And so we said, look, come along to Cube of Truth and, experience it for yourself.
Because you've got nothing to lose, right?
Face your greatest fear and you'll know fear no more. And in fact, another activist that we met in Seattle, she also suffered from social anxiety, and she was inspired by another activist to attend the Cube of Truth, and that actually got her over her social anxiety, and now she's the organizer, one of the organizers for that Anonymous for the Voiceless chapter. Right, so we told that story to this girl, Carly. She came to the Cube and she loved it. She loved it. So hearing stories like that, we know we're on the right path, and this is what we
Yeah.
want to be doing. Helping others help animals.
Yeah.
And in turn, helping themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
That's great. And the great thing about AV, the cubes, is that you can be an introvert and you can put the mask on
Yep.
and stand there and be a part of it, a very important part of it, as you
Very
guys have
important.
said at the meetup. Without actually, it's it's a big step to be there and everything, but you don't have to speak that first time if you don't want to,
That's
or the
right.
second or third time. You don't ever have to.
Exactly.
So you can really pick where you're at as far as your
Yeah.
comfort level.
It's like the best entry point level for someone who's feeling nervous. You're standing there with the mask, as you said, so you're anonymous, literally, and you're holding the screen. That is so important for everyone walking by to see, to witness, and that allows for other people to outreach non-vegans. So it's an imperative role in the Anonymous for the Voiceless Cube. But, again, you're not having any interaction, so it's like a safe zone, and you're completely supported with everyone else around you. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's great. And I think one of my favorite parts about the meetup in Detroit, and I hope that I'm sure this was happening in all the cities, is that you had a lot of people come alone.
Yeah.
And you weren't alone once you were there. We sat at these big round tables, and everyone was speaking to everyone. Like, I looked around the room numerous times, and I knew there were people that showed up alone and didn't know these people, and they were just having great conversations. And then after your talk, we just kind of found groups of people that didn't know each other at all. We friended each other on Facebook, and like I said, other people have reached out about doing more workshops and things like that, or more activism events. So that was really great, that sense of community that was there because you guys were here.
Yeah,
so
it's a great
thank you.
opportunity to meet other vegans and to network and make connections. And so many people say, oh, I'm the only vegan in my family or in my house or in my community. Like, I don't have any other connections. You have to put yourself out there, go along to things, get involved. Vegans, unfortunately, are not going to knock on your door and say, hello, we're vegan as well, please come and join us. You have to take that initiative and go and connect with people. So go to events like, if it's us or any other activist in your city, in your town, giving a talk, giving a workshop, doing whatever, go along. Go along. Never be afraid. You've got nothing to lose. You've only got wonderful vegan family to gain. Okay, and so it's a great thing. People feel very supported, and it's just building vegan community. Yeah.
What they said.
Well, thank you. That's all I have. My questions. I will let you go because these two are busy. Busy. They have so many things to do, and this is just such an important tour, and you guys are changing so many and opening so many doors for people, and it's just really exciting. So I can't wait to watch the rest of it on your Instagram stories and your videos, because I've been following around like the whole, your whole tour until you guys got to
Thank you
Detroit.
so much,
Thank
Tanya.
you.
We couldn't do it without you, so thank you very much. And it's been a pleasure to be on your channel today. And
Absolutely.
thank you for starting
Thank
this
you.
channel.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye, guys.